It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Buckeyes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast, and today's episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. Amazing selection, reliable low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com and tell them Locked On sent you. It is Thursday, April 22nd in the year 2021. And yesterday afternoon, there was some interesting news, medical news that came out about Justin Fields. And man, it kind of solidified a thought I already had. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at JStevens07. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter as well at Locked On Buckeye. Lineup for today in segment 2. We're going to talk about the toughness of Justin Fields. In segment 3, we're going to talk about the importance that June is going to be for recruiting. We begin today's show with the news that I spoke about just about 20 seconds ago that came out about Justin Fields and an illness that he has been dealing with for quite a long time. This year, without there being a combine, the medicals of players would be very, very important as far as how teams figured out the medical situation of every player before they draft them. One question I know, not so much the medicals, but a measurable that was not done at this player's pro day. But of course, there is a way for it to be done. Devonta Smith, the Heisman Trophy winner, many people are wondering, how much does he weigh? Well, it did come out recently, I think a couple days ago, his weight, he did weigh in somewhere, I forget the exact site, but when he weighed in at 166 pounds, it kind of confirmed what other scouts, fans, analysts, and people in the media already thought about him. Well, Justin Fields' medicals came up, and it was a cause of, let's just say, concern. It was something that, well, when you first hear what came up when his medicals were put on display or on Front Street, it may startle you, shock you, or maybe make you stumble over your words to try to describe your thoughts when you hear that Justin Fields has epilepsy. Went to the internet. Not going to try to define it with my own words because I am not that smart of a person. It's also called a seizure disorder, but this is what the definition of epilepsy is. A neurological disorder marked by sudden recurrent episodes of sensory disturbance, loss of consciousness, or convulsions associated with abnormal electrical activity in the brain. When you hear that, when you read that, like I said, it may make you stumble over the words that you use to describe what comes to your mind when you hear that Justin Fields has epilepsy. One of the interesting things about epilepsy is it is a manageable disease or illness, and it is something that Justin Fields has dealt with his entire time in college, his entire time at Ohio State, and he was diagnosed with it as a youth. Justin Fields, the way that he is able to manage it, as long as he takes his medication when he's supposed to, he is managing it properly, and he is A-OK. There have been zero absences while in college due to a hiccup or due to epilepsy while in college. Two-time Big Ten Player of the Year. Also, this is something that he can grow out of as he gets older. There are people inside of his family that deal with epilepsy as well on a regular basis. Oh, you want to know how a player or if there are any former players that have dealt with epilepsy in the NFL? Well, Alan Faneca, the former offensive guard Hall of Famer, dealt with epilepsy his entire time while in the NFL. And he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame right there in Canton. He can do it. Fields can do it. Also, another one. This one is Samari Rolle, the safety player for the Ravens. Now, he did have some issues, or now we'll say issues, some hiccups or cause to concern, and he missed 6 games, I believe, count them, 6 games while in the National Football League due to concussions. He had 3 concussions. All the doctors did, altered his medication. And the rest is history. And he went on to play, then continue to play his football career. I'm going to try and pull up a tweet here very quickly. I should have had this pulled up previously. This is very bad radio. Let's see if I can get this done very quickly. Go to the Twitter and looking to see if I can get the Alan Faneca. Here it is. This is what Alan Faneca said in regards to Justin Fields and him having epilepsy. Quote, "If I did it, so can Justin Fields and so can anyone else. It is part of us, but does not define us. Hashtag epilepsy, hashtag never stop dreaming," end quote. Great way to put your thoughts in a short way, less than 280 characters. It probably would have been smaller. I'm sure it would have been less than the previous 140 character limit that Twitter had. Would many people hear epilepsy, medical condition, something that any player has before they get drafted? Pause to concern. Timeout. Not so fast, my friend. I am a little hesitant. There's other people speaking about this player moving forward. But when you hear about the medicals, 0 absences while at Ohio State, taking his medication regularly, he can manage. It's a manageable disease, or it's a manageable illness that Justin Fields has. It might make you feel a whole lot better. And you know what? Let's just imagine, due to the Rona, due to the COVID, or whatever you want to describe, what has happened over the past year or a little over a year or so here in the US of A, really around the world, if there was no way for the medicals to be put on Front Street, I'm pretty sure shortly after the draft, the doctors will start doing all of the medical testing that they normally do and say, "Oh, he has that. Ooh, that's manageable. Ooh, let's move forward." Speaking of moving forward, let's continue with today's show. When we come back, there was a thought that I had when I heard about Justin Fields having the epilepsy. I'll tell you what it is when we come back. But first, check this out. RockAuto.com is a family business serving auto parts customers online for 20 years. Go to RockAuto.com to shop for auto and body parts from hundreds of manufacturers. They have everything from engine control modules and brake parts to tail lamps, motor oil, and even new carpet. Whether it's for your classic or daily driver, get everything you need in a few easy clicks delivered directly to your door. The RockAuto.com catalog is unique and remarkably easy to navigate. Quickly see all the parts available for your vehicle, choose brands, specifications, and prices you prefer. Best of all, prices at RockAuto.com are always reliably low, and the same for professionals and do-it-yourselfers. Go to RockAuto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in their "How Did You Hear About Us" box, so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. RockAuto.com. This year, the Locked On Podcast Network is partnering with the Draft Network to cover the NFL Draft live. Get insight and analysis from Locked On local experts and the Draft Network's national experts. Subscribe to the Locked On NFL YouTube page to watch live 3-day coverage of the NFL Draft, April 29th through April the 1st. Speaking of YouTube and subscribing to the Locked On Live YouTube page, go ahead and subscribe to Locked On Buckeyes YouTube page as well. That is correct. If you haven't heard, Locked On Buckeyes has one more way for you to enjoy Locked On Buckeyes every Monday through Friday. The audio versions, the Odyssey app, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, just to name a few ways you can subscribe the audio way to stay up to date with Locked On Buckeyes, but also the video version as well. Go to YouTube. A lot of you have it on your Roku, on your smart TV, on your Apple TV, on your Fire Stick. Go there, search Locked On Buckeyes, and subscribe. On your phone, pull up the YouTube app, subscribe. On your computer, youtube.com. Subscribe. On your tablet or iPad, YouTube, the app, subscribe. Get the picture. Go ahead and subscribe. Let more people know, your friends, your family. and that folks, loves Ohio State, but you can't stand them as a person, let them know too that Locked On Buckeyes has one more way for you and for them to enjoy Locked On Buckeyes every Monday through Friday. It's draft season. We have heard people talk bad about certain athletes, certain players, certain Buckeye individuals, and maybe you are someone that says, I don't agree with what they have to say. That confuses me. Please pause, stop. That ain't right. Some of that might be you being a fan. That's okay. That's great. Fans defend their players. Some of that might be you being realistic and unbiased. Great. Perfect. Perfect right there. Keep on going. Some of it might be, I don't know. I don't want to make a judgment just yet. How about we wait, pause, do some investigation, get on your computer, and then come back to formulate an opinion after you do some more of your research at that time. Almost giving the benefit of the doubt, or I just don't want to do anything with this right now. Well, when I heard Justin Fields had epilepsy, I was one of those people, and sometimes on this year podcast, sometimes consistently on a day, not multiple times in the show. Sometimes it does happen, but your boy does stutter and stumble over his words. It happens. Happens to me. I'm sure it happens to you. As someone talks into a microphone on a consistent basis, regular basis, multiple times in some days, yeah, when you talk a lot, there's a good chance you're going to stutter over your words. Well, when I heard about Justin Fields and the epilepsy and how he has it, did a little bit more digging into what it is, epilepsy is, how it may affect you, the athletes. A lot of the information that I'm getting comes from Tom Pelissero. I hope I said his name correctly, of NFL Network. Does a phenomenal job covering the NFL. And Albert Breer was the one also, if I first saw the tweet on Twitter, he's been doing a lot of filtering, a lot of tweeting about Justin Fields, the pro days, who's going to be at pro day 2, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm getting a lot of the information that I'm getting as far as Fields, that is, from them. But a lot of the other stuff is extra research that I have done. And like I said, I'm not a medical person. I don't know everything. But when you tell me that a player could get a seizure or two just because of something that they currently have, I get nervous. Really nervous. I have worked with people, that I have seen a seizure firsthand, but I have worked with people that suffer and that have seizures. It's not a pretty thing to hear about, and I immediately get nervous. Think about Justin Fields over the past 2 years at Ohio State. Some of you might remember the prospect that he was coming out of Georgia. Some of you might remember exactly what came to your mind when you heard Justin Fields was coming to Ohio State. Man. To go from Haskins to Fields, to go from this to that, one step up, you believe, because Fields is a better athlete than Haskins. So a lot of you are saying, ooh-wee, let's go. I like what is happening right now. I get it. I understand it. These are normal emotions that happen. You probably didn't have those same emotions when you heard that Fields, or maybe this is your first time hearing that Fields has epilepsy. He can grow out of it. He has been managing it. He did everything on the field without most people even knowing he did this. And I got to say one thing, that's a testament to Ryan Day, because Ryan Day does a phenomenal job of letting things stay in-house, even down to the COVID. A lot of times we didn't know players had the COVID until game day or a day before, maybe a couple days before. So one, Ryan Day doesn't want the other team to know what's going on. And in college, there are no rules regulating saying you have to update us by this time, like in the National Football League. A lot of you will go to the Facebook. I believe with Josh Meyer's mom put something on Facebook right before the national championship game or towards the end of the season about him having testing positive for the Rona. I get it. There are many ways to get information. When you figure this out, when I heard this, one thought came to my mind. That boy tough. That boy tough. No, T-H-A-T. No. D-A-T. We ain't got to be politically. We ain't got to use correct grammar right now. That boy tough. Because I know what goes through my mind. But I'm not Fields. I'm not on the field with him. I am not an individual that is there every single day in the trenches. In the field, not trenches like in battling, like in the O-line, D-line stuff, but, the grind that's there in football. I'm not there. Most of you aren't there. Even if you're a media member, you're not there either. You're not in practice. You're not in the locker room, not in the film room, not on the plane, no, not eating together, not in class, none of that stuff. We aren't there. Most of you are not Justin Fields' dad. If his dad happens to be listening to this, or his mom who might be listening to this here episode as well, I'm just saying, I'm not them, and most of y'all aren't them either, so we don't know the day-to-day. But how about we hear somebody else with Fields consistently, a lot of the time, to hear what the head coach, Ryan Day, had to say about Justin Fields and this here health issue that is there, right from Ryan Day's Twitter page. Quote, Justin's health, toughness, let me try this again. Quote, Justin's health, toughness, and work ethic have never been an issue, and I am incredibly proud of his professionalism and character he displays on and off the field. The fact that he never missed a game at Ohio State speaks volumes about how he takes care of himself, end quote. Imagine the one thing standing in between you and the possibility of being healthy and playing every football game at the school you were at is taking your medicine. Now also think about all the distractions that come your way now as a regular person. Early 20s. Let's go 20 years old so we can kind of do the same thing. 19, 20 years old, Fields, 19, 20 years old, early 20s for you at the same time. So imagine you having to go back at that time in your life. You have school, you have practice, weight room, you got film session, you got homework, you got all the other things, you got friends, you got family, you might have a girlfriend or a boyfriend. No matter what gender you are right now, you maybe have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. So there are so many things being thrown at you at that time in life. And what do we have now? We also have, you got to take your medicine on time. I take medicine. Not prescribed, it's more over the counter, but there are things that I take every single day. Do I take them at the same time every day? I do not. If it was life or death or me playing a game and me not playing a game, do I think I would? Absolutely. But the toughness mentally, the schedule that he is on, like clockwork, you gotta get this done right now. All of that stuff that goes on to Justin Fields, hey y'all, hey, I am happy that we're learning more about him. Not saying happy in a negative sense. I don't like that Fields has the epilepsy. What I do like, and I am enjoying from learning more about Justin Fields, I like that Fields, his toughness, the things I thought about him previously are getting confirmed, and I'm finding out he's way tougher than I thought he was. Let's step away one more time. When we come back, we'll talk about the month of June and how this will be a very big month for recruiting. But first, check this out. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sports action. Football might be over, but NBA, college basketball, and even the NHL are in full swing. BetOnline covers awards, TV shows, and reality TV. Real-time updated odds and props on almost anything you can imagine. BetOnline has you covered for all the news, scores, and odds. It's the best way to place your bets and gadgets, even free to sign up. Head to betonline.ag on your computer or mobile device. And when you sign up today, make sure you use promo code LOCKEDON, that's LOCKEDON, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Once again, go to betonline.ag on your computer or mobile device. And when you sign up today, make sure you use promo code LOCKEDON to receive your 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, your online sports book experts. The Ultimate Mock Draft 2021, presented by Locked On and Odyssey, is happening now, featuring analysis from NFL experts Michael Irvin, Jason Lockenfora, and Brian Baldinger, our local experts for every team making trades and picking the next stars of their team. Search the Ultimate Mock Draft 2021 on the new Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast. Odyssey is your audio home for all the sports, podcast, music, and news that matter to you. That's AUDACY. And as we wrap up today's episode here of Locked On Buckeyes, remember one more time, tomorrow is Friday. We're going to finish the week out strong. And tomorrow, Jay's weekly rant comes tomorrow at the end of tomorrow's show. Going to end the week in the show, the final show of the week, with a bang. Also, one thing very, very quickly, we have done this once previously. I will do it in the future. If there is any news that comes out that is deserving of an immediate or emergency podcast episode, that will come out. Primarily, that'll be over the weekend, because if it comes out throughout the week on a Monday through Friday when I'm already doing a show, I'll just fit that into that show. But as we get ready for the upcoming weekend, make sure you subscribe to wherever you're listening, because if there's an emergency episode that comes out, you want to make sure that you get it. June, the month of June, is going to be huge. The dead period for recruiting is going to be ending I believe it ends June the 1st, May 31st, June the 1st, I believe is when the dead period does end. The dead period for recruiting got extended, kept getting extended, and those in the know, and I do listen to the Cover 3 podcast via CBS Sports Podcast Network on a regular basis, almost religiously. And Bud Elliott on there, he's very tapped in and tuned into what's going on via the recruiting circuit. Just came back from IMG Academy there in Bradenton, Florida. And he said back then, before it was announced that the dead period was going to be ending, he had heard some rumblings. It was kind of expected, or people that were in the know kind of believe that the dead period would be ending very, very soon. Well, there were a couple of recruits that have already scheduled their official visits to Ohio State. They were announced this yesterday. I've been seeing them trickle down my Twitter page. People that retweet things and like things, they come across my page as well. Eni White, he has his official visit scheduled for Ohio State. I believe it was June 25th through the 27th. He is a 6'6", 230-pound defensive end 2022 recruit, Adidas All-American, 5-star, #1 DN in the country. Not sure what ranking system that is coming from. That's coming right from his Twitter bio. And then also, Trayon Webb says, quote, "I will be in Columbus, Ohio, June 8th and the 9th for an unofficial visit," end quote. He's a 5-star athlete out of Trinity Christian Academy in Florida. Also, he is an All-American as well. Month of June. I was in a loss of words trying to stumble over what's going to come out of my mouth. But this is huge. For athletes not being able to be on campus or to really be able to make any type of recruiting or decision about their future in a way that they believe they should be able to, the month of June is going to be huge. Recruiting camps are back. If I could get my words together today, I talked about stuttering earlier in the show, almost in a joking manner about myself, but it's known. It's a thing. Sometimes when Jay gets going, the stutters come out. Ohio State football camps, recruiting camps are going to be their one-day camps, June 2nd, June 8th, June 9th, June 15th, June 16th, and June 22nd. These are camps. This is tweeted out by, I believe, Larry Johnson, the D-line coach, tweeted this out earlier today. And there are some details about what's going on for the camp, information about the camp inside the graphic that he tweeted out. This is huge. This is big. Schools like Oklahoma, your Georgia, your USC, who I believe is going to be on the up and up very, very soon. I believe USC, if they would have had a full season last year, would have been a lot better than expected. And then also this coming year, I do believe they're going to be better than expected. They also have a really good receiving room out there as well at USC. Ohio State is really good, but USC out there on the West Coast in Pac-12 country is going to be really good as well. But you have Georgia, you have Auburn, Alabama, your Oklahoma, your Texas, your Oregon, your USC, your UCLA. I can go all around the country. Your Penn State, everybody. This month of June is key. You want to get these athletes, these young men on your campus. You want to be able to properly recruit them in the way that you want. It will be a little bit different because a lot of these men probably will be making decisions quickly, very quickly. And so you getting the time to get to know them, You already know them a little bit, but making that a visit when they come to your campus, that's huge. Because I remember when I was trying to figure out what college I wanted to go to, and I was not planning on going to a place that I had not visited. My dad, he took us to, let me think, where my dad take us. My dad took us to Indiana University. My brother and I, when I was in high school, took us to Indiana University. I'm a Hoosier. I have lived in Indiana most of my life. And then he took us to Indiana State, where he graduated from high school, where he graduated from college. So he took us to where my mom went, where he went. I had already visited Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana, where my uncle went to school. That was actually a school field trip. We went there. But I also, when I didn't go to any of those schools, I visited a couple schools later, a school in Oklahoma, not University of Oklahoma, and I visited a school in Tampa, Florida. It was not USF, but I visited schools there. And so I was visiting schools, and you know how it is. If you want to move somewhere, if you're going to plan on going to a place to play any type of sport at that level, you want to visit that place first. If you're planning on going to college, I bet you are probably going to be a person that wants to visit that place before going there. This is going to be key. People question Ryan Day's recruiting prior to him coming here. So far, so good. It's better than Urban. So far. Not saying anything's fallen off yet, but so far, things have been A-okay. They've been very, very good. And this month is going to be very instrumental to Ryan Day continuing that trend of being a really, really good, great, elite, almost to that level, elite recruiter. To me, to be in that level, you got, 2 years is not, I'm a tough judge. 2 years to put you in that elite category, not enough. You got to continue to do it. Continue to do it. And there's a good chance Ryan Day, with this month of June coming up, when the dead period ends, he will continue to prove he is a really, really good, great, possibly elite recruiter. Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode, downloading or watching, whichever way you consume Locked on Buckeyes today. I really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to Locked on Buckeyes, 5-star reviews, fill out that review section on Apple with 5-star reviews. You guys could always follow me on Twitter at jsteven07. Come back tomorrow. Finish the week off strong with a bang, and end the week with Jay's Weekly Rant.